make it clear that I'm Muslim, whether it's by, you know, how I work or how I carry myself. And again, you know, I think being Muslim at a young age, you know, I feel like I've been able to benefit from many different people and a lot of elders. And for example, my first job after becoming Muslim, when I was 16, I worked at the Islamic School of Seattle, and I was a janitor. And the principal there, his name was Muhammad Muslimani. And, you know, I didn't have a lot of experience in working. So when he would check my work, he would get upset, and he would say whenever a Muslim does something, he does his best. He would always tell me that. And so now when I work, when I go into an environment, you know, that's my attitude. You know, whenever I do something, you know, I should do my best. I should do my best work. And so, you know, I always identify myself as Muslim. Now, whether, you know, it has helped people, I think it depends on the individual, whether they take, you know, what I have to share, or, you know, a lot of times people will ask questions, you know, but whether they make the commitment and, you know, make it their life, it's usually on those individuals.
Right, and I'd ask you another question. Working in social work, I mean, how did that shape your opinion of the social fabric here in America?
I mean, I guess, you know, my perspective is, I would say it's still developing, you know, but it makes me see, I guess, the social fabric on a lot of different levels. You know, of course, you know, you have the issue of, you know, being African American in America and the social stigmatisms that come with that. But then there's also a side of life where, you know, I would say that regardless of where you come from, your ethnicity, depending on the lifestyle you choose, I mean, it has an effect. So in this work, I've been able to work with all different types of people. You know, at different times I may have worked with one set population, but for the most part, I've worked with everybody across the board. And so the way I can say, the only way I can say it is that, you know, there's a fine line, you know, between what people think is, I don't know, sane or insane. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I guess what gave me that perspective is, you know, at one point I worked, you know, with drug addicts. Now, these were drug addicts who had mental health issues, that were homeless, and they were, you know, trying to get their life stable. And this was in downtown Seattle. And this was graveyard shift. I did this while I was going to college. And so usually what I would do, you know, maybe after Fajr, I would stand outside and I would just watch, you know, the city come alive, people going back and forth to work, you know. And I recall, like, standing out there just watching everything, and, you know, you would see people in businesses, people going to work, and they wouldn't really acknowledge me. But, you know, seeing what I've seen and dealing with different types of people, I would say to myself that some of these people are not too far from, you know, this man sleeping on the corner, or this person who's lost their mind, you know. So, you know, I feel like there's a fine line.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. So you made the move from social work to teaching in an Islamic school.
Yes.
Now, what was your motivation for that, to taking a job at an
Well,
Islamic school?
Actually, my motivation was, I think it was 2 years ago, I did a little summer program. I went to Egypt, you know, to do, what was it, like Arabic intensive program. I went with the group, what is it, Alameen and Associates from Connecticut. So when I got there, the first day I got there, you know, I mean, it was inspiring to see that there were a lot of American people there, you know, a lot of kids from, you know, Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York. Not only that, but the people that I had traveled with and set up the program, you know, their kids were there, their grandkids were there, you know, and I knew, I felt like, you know, this is what I needed to do. And then the longer I stayed there in Egypt, what I began to see was, that regardless of our ethnicity as Muslims, we still need to be reminded of Islam. That, nobody can say that, because I'm from a certain country or because I have a certain language, that Islam belongs to me. But what I realize is that Islam is Allah's religion, and Allah guides whom He pleases. And I was able to see, why the Prophet ﷺ would talk about, the best places Allah loves are the masjids, and the worst places are the marketplaces. And the reason why is because it would be really hot, in the daytime, so everybody came out at Maghrib. And so it was like the city would come alive. You would walk through the markets, and, there was so much activity, And so, I don't know, I realized so much from that experience, and it really increased, my thirst to seek knowledge. And as I traveled around Cairo and I seen different, places, I said, well, maybe I can, get a teaching certificate and teach and bring my family and, study Arabic at the same time. So that was my original goal for doing the teaching certification. And so as soon as I got back to the States, that was my goal, to get my teaching certification. And so I did that, and then, I looked at potential jobs and whatever, and, I think for 2 years, me and my wife, we saved up money, and we changed our lifestyle to, because we had the intention to go overseas. Well, Allah had other plans. And so basically, what happened was my mother got sick, and so I had to look at, my options. I really, really wanted to go back to Egypt, but, I wanted to be there just in case if something happened to my mother, I could be there to help her. And so somebody presented a hadith to me about, I think there was a Sahaba who wanted to go out, the jihad, and the Prophet said, are your parents alive? And he said yes, and I'm only paraphrasing, but then he went on to say, you should serve your parents. So that was my answer. So my answer was that, as much as I wanted to go back and study Arabic or study Islam, I needed to be there to take care of my mother. And so as a result of making that decision, a whole world opened up to me. The school that I work at, this is its second year in existence, and so finally, me and my wife, we took our children there to sign them up, and it just so happened that the people that run the school, I'd known them ever since I become Muslim. So I told them what I wanted to do. I told them about my credentials, and the executive director, he said, oh, maybe you should apply. And so I applied, and I waited, and so finally I had an interview, and alhamdulillah, they asked me, if I wanted to accept the position, and I would say that actually Allah has given me all the things that I asked for in America. And the reason why I say that is because not only do I work at an Islamic school, but my children go to the same school that I work in. The teachers, the Islamic school teachers, they're all qualified. So, if I have questions about fiqh, if I have questions about Arabic, I can go and talk to them. If I need to work on my tajweed, I can sit with any of the teachers, not only for me, but also with my children. And so I feel like, Allah has allowed me to do everything that I wanted to do right here. So.
And I was asking you earlier,